Hi, Canastota. I'm Sean Becerra, Superintendent of Canastota Central Schools, and this is the weekly video update for Friday, August 13th. As much as I'd like to talk about things other than COVID, unfortunately, COVID has once again dominated the headlines for the past week. Last week, I mentioned in the update that reopening decisions were going to largely be left to local health departments and school districts, as the governor's office and the Department of Health, after leading us to believe that there was going to be additional guidance issued, suddenly announced that they were not going to provide this updated guidance. Then on Tuesday of this week, the commissioner of the Department of Education, Betty Rosa, announced that she was going to issue recommendations given the absence of information coming from the governor's office or the State Department of Health. Well, that guidance came out yesterday afternoon, and as a result, Canastota Central Schools earlier today issued what we are describing as phase one of our 2021-22 reopening plan for school. Here's what I mean by that. Some items related to school reopening plans have been become increasingly clear-cut as we've evaluated all of the recommendations. Some items are a little more involved and require additional clarification and regional coordination before final decisions are made, and will therefore, those situations will be finalized in phase two of our reopening plan. However, some things we know now for certain based on recent recommendations or advice from the state, our attorneys, and even our insurance carriers. So as of today, we can comfortably announce to you the following decisions have been made regarding the school reopening plan. Number one, universal masking will be in place as we start the 2021-22 school year. The reasons for this are clear and overwhelming. The CDC and the American Pediatrics Association has recommended universal masking indoors at schools and on buses. On top of that, the State Education Department has now also endorsed that recommendation. To not institute this universal masking standard would mean that we were operating contrary to the accepted guidance coming not just from an expert, but from a large and unified group of experts on this issue. Number two, social distancing standards in place at the end of last year will remain in place to start the new year. So once again, students will be at least 3 feet apart in classrooms and around the school facilities. Number three, State Education Department has once and for all reinforced the expectation that students are expected to be in school participating in in-person learning. So again, last year's circumstances that opened the door for parents to simply choose an in-person program or a remote option is now not a choice for 21-22. Essentially, we will be returning to a typical schedule with any variations to a student's schedule occurring only through the channels that would have existed pre-pandemic. So we're looking forward to having in-person instruction for our students this coming school year. And item number four, we also now know that the CDC no longer recommends temperature screening or screening questionnaires on a daily basis at schools. If there had been the recommendation to continue this practice, we certainly would have done so. However, the guidance does not recommend continuing this practice. And out of our own experience in utilizing the process has clearly shown that there was not any impact derived from the continuation of the daily screening and temperature check practice from a mitigation standpoint. Families will obviously be asked to continue standard mitigation techniques such as daily health assessments before students come to school, but this assessment will not need to be formally submitted on any type of daily form. Much more in our reopening plan to come in the coming weeks, but we're pleased that we were at least able to provide some answers to some of the big questions surrounding the return to school. More to follow in the coming days and weeks leading up to the start of school. And while COVID dominated this week's update, we did want to leave you with some positive updates on our capital project. It's really starting to look like a different place in many parts of our school buildings and facilities. We'd like to show you a few of our before and after photos to show you just how much has already been done. While most of the work you're seeing is directly tied to our large capital project, other updates like the new flooring and carpeting in Robert Street are a part of this year's smaller, what's called capital outlay project. Each year, school districts have the ability to take on smaller projects of up to $100,000 in scope to take on necessary projects, and the much needed work at Robert Street is the most recent example of this. More updates and pictures will be coming over the next few weeks leading up to the start of school, but we're really pleased with how things are shaping up around our facilities. So in the meantime, I want to thank you once again for your patience as we navigate through both the school reopening as well as the large capital project. While it's impossible to please everyone, I can promise you that we do the very best we can on behalf of our students. And overwhelmingly, our school community has been supportive of the fact that our decisions have been made in the interest of all of our students and based on reasons that are easily defendable under any level of scrutiny. I hope you have a great weekend. I look forward to sharing more updates on our project and our reopening plans. And go Raiders.